Hello and welcome to the Growth Advantage podcast. Today we welcome Emma King, business owner, coach and co-founder of It Takes Two, helping business owners to work strategically by training and coaching their second in command. It's lovely to meet you, Emma.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be talking to you.
Fantastic. I'd love to start, if it's okay with you, by asking you to tell us a bit about your journey and about the business It Takes Two and exactly what it entails.
Absolutely. It came actually from more of a personal journey because along with It Takes Two, I actually have an events company that I've owned for about 20, 25 years. And about 9 years ago, I was that typical business owner in the weeds, doing everything, stressed, working
Yes.
every hour, then meddling, because just didn't really feel like I was in control and had my finger on the pulse. And that kind of made me want to grip harder and then drive everyone crazy because I was micromanaging and what have
Yeah.
you. And it got to that point where it was kind of like, where's all the freedom and the time I was promised when I started my own business? And like something had to give. And I was working with my business coach, who I still have to this day. We're kind of getting back, like really down to like what it is that I wanted. And it really did come back down to that. I wanted to feel in control. I wanted to have a business that ran like clockwork. I wanted all this time and freedom. And it felt like a pipe dream. It felt like that was some kind of lie we were sold to get us into business all those years ago. And
Yeah.
nobody has it. And it was normal. That's how I felt, that this is what it was to be a business owner. At which point, obviously, he coached me out of that mindset and kind of, no, it doesn't have to be this way. You're accepting it. We get what we tolerate, all that kind of stuff. And we recognized if I wanted to get out of the weeds and stay out of them, it's easy to do it like for a short period of time. But the minute then you step away and go on holiday for a couple of months, it kind of, it can all fall apart if it's not done with a system. So we had a team offsite with the team. And then Julie, who was my communications manager at the time, who is now my business partner with It Takes Two, she just really stepped up. And it was like, oh my goodness, where's this woman come from? Like, she just really got it. We were kind of sharing the vision for the business and she really understood. She had the ear of the team. They really respected her. She was able to take all my jumbled up 100 miles an hour ideas and just condense them, get clarity, communicate to the team. We're like, she's the one. She's the cog that's going to try. And it was, I didn't say it was easy, but it was a starting point of when we realized that I needed Julie. She happened to be the one that stepped up into the role, which was great to recruit from within. But that was a moment I realized that was the key to me getting this time and freedom, was not trying to be in everything and doing everything myself. And fast forward, we look back now and see what we did. And Julie's biggest thing was, Emma, there was nobody out there for me. You've got all the exec coaching, you've got all the leadership coaching, you're okay, you've got your mentors, your coaches, your business clubs, your events that you do. I have nothing. And we were like, that's a problem. And that's why we are both passionate. I'm passionate about business. Julie is super passionate about helping those people in a second in command role have a network, have someone to talk to, have their own mentor, etc., etc. And that's what we do. It Takes Two. We coach, mentor, train, support people in that second in command role.
And that is such, like you say, I can see how that is such a missed market, a missed area. Like you say, there's plenty of mentoring coaches out there for business owners, but that second in command, as you've discovered, is so crucial. And it's an amazing spot there that you've hit. Your journey has taught you that behind every successful entrepreneur is a second in command who turns that vision into reality. Could you elaborate on why this partnership is so crucial for business owners, especially those that may be feeling lonely or stressed or out of control, perhaps as you were at that time?
Yeah. So for me, it comes down to kind of, and this is not 100% of the time. This is oftentimes, majority of times, the entrepreneur is the visionary. And like I said, there definitely, I wouldn't even say exceptions. There's a lot of people who aren't the visionaries, who are more operational and what have you as business owners, but most business owners are more visionary. So we see the horizon. Julie always jokes with me, she would, Emma, it must be beautiful up there where you live because you just see, like, you're on top of your mountain, you see the next mountain, the birds are flying, the sun is shining, everything is wonderful, and you just have your absolute eye on the prize. You can see and it's all, it's not fluffy, but it's all optimistic, positive stuff. She said, down here for me, It's, I see the crevices. I see the oceans we have to cross. I see the problems we have to, the obstacles that, like, should you like, and that's often, it's the visionary that's like, come on, we can just do this. Like, let's just make it happen. And it's the number two. And I don't like, even though we use it because it's a common term, I don't like the words second in command or number two, because it's absolutely an equal partnership. Even if you've got a business owner and a 2IC, I absolutely believe that, you know, you need both. Hence, it takes two, the name. So if you think that the visionary's got all these great ideas, what the 2IC, the operator, their role for me is twofold. One is to execute that vision. So I've got the vision, I can hold it, I can see it. Julie's job is to unpack it all, put a plan in place and make it happen. And so that's the main part of the job. And then the second part of the job is to buy back my time. So that time and freedom that we get promised when we start a business or we think we're going to get, that's what your second in command does. Because I get and I feel as if it's an absolute privilege, but I get time to think, to work on the business, to strategize, to come up with ideas, to drive the business forward, to make those big connections and do the big, you know, the moves that really like move the needle in the business, if you like, the big stuff. Knowing that once I've got that clarity, and Julie's great at getting that out of me in terms of what does this look like, she'll make it happen, and I don't have to worry about that. And I still have to get involved. I don't, you know, there's a big. Julie's written a great post on LinkedIn today actually about the difference between delegating and abdicating, and there is a big difference, and we see that as well when we're coaching. It's like you can't just have a 2IC and then walk off and do the strategizing and the thinking. It's not quite that simple. There's a process to it, but that's the beauty. And if you get that right, and you need to both work together, it's not in isolation, but that's the stuff that really moves the business forward.
Absolutely. And, you know, I guess you also need two people who work differently as well. If you're two people who are the same, then you're not actually building on what you need. If you're both wanting to do the same thing. So I can imagine it takes a lot of time to identify and match up the right kind of person to complement that business owner, business leader.
Absolutely. I mean, me and Julie always say that, like, if it was just me, and I've done this, I've gone in because I have so many ideas. You know, I get out the shower, and I've had an idea, like, you know, and I'm kind of raring to go. And what happens when you have lots of ideas? If you try to start them all, you just forever starting, never finishing. And Julie always says, if it was just me, I wouldn't have a vision to work towards. I'd just be doing stuff all day and not. So it's a beautiful partnership in that sense. And it's also, it is a relationship that takes work, because you know, you have to be that yin and yang. You know, we have been working together for 18 years. We are the closest of friends, and we have to work on that relationship in terms of this is a business conversation, because I drive her a lot more crazy than she drives me, because it's like, I can just see this picture and she has to be very strong to draw out of me, what does clarity look like? I mean, you can't just, this is the thing about abdicating, where you just go, here's the vision, work it out. Not that she's got to get the detail from me, which is not my strongest point. And so there's always that happy tension. And we see it in a lot of clients where that tension becomes conflict. And the key really is to turn that tension into healthy debate and curiosity and gaining clarity and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes I'm in the middle of a conversation and I feel like I'm being dragged backwards into like, oh, it's too much detail. Why do you want all this from me? And I have to remind myself, you know, there's a saying that we teach what we most need to learn. It's like, I have to remind myself, this is good. This is actually the dream. This is working. This little bit of pain here is going to propel me forward massively, as opposed to not giving that clarity and not going through that pain and getting a whole load of pain down the line because I haven't done that piece of work up front. So there's definitely a lot of work on both sides, and there's definitely a lot of we come across a lot of people who don't realize that that's an absolute gift to have that tension.
Right. Yeah. Everything you're saying makes total sense. And obviously, it takes two, helps prevent stored business growth and unrealized potential and increased stress. When you work with businesses, what are the most common challenges you see them facing in terms of sales and marketing efforts that hinder their growth?
I'm a big believer, first off, of having the best people around you that you can possibly afford. You used to hear, and still do, I guess, a lot of people say that I wouldn't expect the team to do anything I wouldn't do myself. I can't do half the things my team do. And I'm so glad that I can't, because it means that they are experts in their areas. So I think giving up that ego is really key, and going, you want the best people you can afford around you to help you grow the business, and then trust them to do the job. It's so a big, in terms of that stalling and stunting growth, if you like. For me, it's about staying in your lane. This is my lane. I don't meddle. I used to, but not anymore. Like, I don't meddle. My job is to set the culture, set the vision, make sure the business is well financed, to make sure that it's stable, and to focus on growth and opportunities. Beyond there, like, and even, I mean, my events business, when we're running an event, I turn up and I say to my event director, tell me, today I work for you. You tell me where you need me. I don't know the detail. I'm not going to go and meddle into, why aren't the teas and coffees out, or why isn't the speaker on stage, or et cetera, because it just drives people crazy. Likewise, marketing stays in their lane. They're excellent at that. Sales stay in their lane. And Julie as COO, she doesn't try and, do what I do. And she doesn't try and, Julie more so than me has got a handle over all the departments, so she can step in more than what I possibly could in that sense. She's much more of a generalist in that sense, I guess. But the key for me of what stops you is that meddling and not staying in your lane and go, this is what I'm good at. We talk a lot about superpowers, and I think if everyone just identifies their superpowers, see where so for me it is that vision, the ideas, the drive, I can probably, lead people, take them anywhere. I was like, wouldn't know what to do when I got there, but I could get them to get, and in that sense, Julie is all about making stuff happen. And then we've got the team. Confusion happens when we try and do each other's jobs, or we try and interfere, if you like. If everyone is just confident and knows their superpowers and know that they complement and don't use them, like I said before, as a tension that ends in conflict, tension that's for good and for healthy debate, that's when I think the business can thrive.
Absolutely. And from your experience, I think you've partly covered this, but are there any other hurdles in establishing an effective visionary operator relationship in a business when you start working with them? Like, for example, you've given that sort of example there of people staying in their own lanes, which I can imagine at first can be difficult. Are there any other big hurdles that you come across in businesses?
Yeah, and we actually, I'll tell you about like a product we developed because of this one. It's when you work in a fast-paced environment, and you do become very, if you're working on the relationship with your second in command, ops manager, director, what have you, you can sometimes you get in the weeds there with them, and you both don't lift up. And then you have your one-to-ones, and they don't become valuable. They could become tactical. Oh, we need to get this done. We need to get that done. And I've had so many business owners say to me, Emma, what am I supposed to be doing in my one-to-ones? What am I supposed to be about? Or they'll say to me, oh, I don't know how to tackle this issue. And for me, it's a different subject, but there should be no such thing as a difficult conversation. If you've got the right things in place, you never have to have that difficult conversation at work. But going back to one-to-ones, it's in my brain. This is why I can't get involved in the detail, because I'm all over the place. But we actually created a deck of conversation cards to have, because the biggest thing is, well, there's a few areas of them. I don't have one to hand, but clarity. So you cannot talk enough on your one-to-ones about the vision. So great questions from a business owner. What part of the vision do you need more clarity on? Great
Yeah.
question for the ops person to say, or the 2IC to say, tell me more about what you see here, where you see this going. So clarity is a key thing. Talking about even just things like, elephant in the room, like what are we not talking about? What are we assuming is going to go well? Are we doing enough risk analysis in what we're doing? Things like prioritizing. Are we clear on our priorities? So as a 2IC, are my priorities still aligned with yours? Ideas, the business owners have so many ideas. It's a great skill for an ops manager to be able to distinguish an idea that's just an idea that we're just exploring, and an idea that takes action. There's some great little tools and tips that we have for ops people to understand that and act on that. So are we going back to the big ideas? Are we working on the annual plan? Are we reviewing it and looking at and saying, are we on track or off track? So we can be on track and off track day by day, week by week, in terms of sales or delivery or, customer service. But are we actually making moves towards, are we doing the financial analysis that we need to be doing? All that kind of stuff. So it's the one-to-ones really key. If you want, I'm saying this, Julie will go, "Oh, yeah, I'm sure we can do this," is we have some sample conversation cards on Yes. So if any of your listeners want them, if you can put a link in, we can give a sample of the questions, just great questions you'll be having with your second in command, just to have really. We shared the cards with somebody at an event. It was a 2-day event, and they went off and they came back the following day. We had the most amazing conversation last night with these cards. We just sat there and went through the cards and and the two IC said, "I've never had so much clarity
Wow.
of where
That's
we're going."
really great
And she's like,
feedback.
"We had to come back this morning and just share to you that, like, we absolutely love this conversation because you deserve it. The business owner deserves to have that time, and the second in command definitely deserves that time just to have really great conversations. And that, I think, is lacking more than anything. We just get on the rat race of the kind of get it done, get it done, get it done, get it
Yeah.
done. Don't take time to go, what are we doing all this for? And what's the end game?
Also, I see so in meetings where people just go around the houses, and actually avoid the issue that really needs to be discussed, either because they feel uncomfortable or nobody wants to start it or they don't really know how to handle it. So, I can see the place for such conversation cards, and I'm really interested to have a look at them myself, actually. I think
Yeah.
that
And
sounds really
let me
brilliant.
give you a tip about meetings, because we've just got a new client who said, "My goodness, I didn't know how much my meetings were costing me because they're having so many meetings." And don't get me wrong, we have to have meetings. We just need to have effective meetings that actually do something and move the needle. So if you take all the meetings that your team, not external meetings, not client meetings, internal meetings where you just like meetings for meeting's sake, multiply like the number of meetings multiplied by the number of people in those meetings by the time spent. So you might have, say, 20 people spending 8 hours a week in meetings. That's an entire day. That is 20% of your payroll going on meetings.
Gosh, wow. You
Yeah.
put it like
And
that.
exactly. If you, and it's, so you just, multiply the number of hours by the average. I mean, you can go into the detail of, if you wanted, of everyone's hourly rate, but just do an average hourly rate. And that figure is how much you're spending week in, week out, month out on meetings. Just, I'm not saying don't have them. I'm saying make them count, make them effective, move them forward, uh, and we do a lot of work with people just on their meetings, just getting them, uh, optimized, I guess, and good outcomes, and the amount of people who have meetings without any prep work or not an agenda, not an outcome in mind, and they sit for hours. Yeah, when you do that evaluation, like, wowzers.
Light bulb moment. Yeah, that's amazing. Now, It Takes Two utilizes the AAA method, alignment, accountability, and autonomy. Could you dive into how these pillars are structured and how they support growth in a business?
Yeah, so this was basically Julie and I looking back on what we had done in the business. Because don't forget, when Julie became COO, when I kind of, that day that I basically promoted her, and she's like, "What's the job?" I was like, "Well, I don't know what the job is. I just know that I need you." And it was kind of like, let's figure it out as we go. So this was done in retrospect of like, okay, what was it that what we did? And for me, at the center of the model is time, money, and freedom. That's kind of why most of us want, start a business. We want more time, more money, and more freedom. And then the things that give us that are the AAA. So accountability, alignment, and autonomy. So if we look at alignment first, that is alignment to the vision, values, and culture. So that's where the conversation comes in. Either the meetings or the conversation cards or the away days, all that kind of thing is like, if your 2IC isn't aligned to your vision, they'll be doing a great job for you, but they won't be getting you there as direct as you could be, if you like. Same with culture and values. If they're not really clear, and not, I don't mean just written on the wall or decided one day and then put in the drawer, like lived every day. Are you recognizing people? Are you rewarding people? Are you hiring? Are you firing? All those things based on your values, and reinforcing that culture and not letting it slip. Then if you haven't got alignment on that, like, the worst case scenario is that they'll just implement their own culture and their own values, or the
Yeah,
team will do it. You've always got a culture, whether it's by design or by accident. So that alignment piece, that means that, so the outcome from that is that if I want to take a month's holiday vacation, which I not regularly, I do, but I probably do once a year. Sorry, once a month would be, I'm constantly, once a year, I try to take a month off. Like, I know that if a decision comes up, if something happens where the team have to make a decision, they'll know what I want because they'll know what my values are. They'll know the company culture and they know what we're heading towards. So it's like, is this going to make the boat go faster? Is this going to get us there or distract us? Therefore, we could be confident we can make a decision because we know what company is heading towards. With no alignment, they're going to just have a best guess or what have you. The accountability, the amount of people that come to me and say, Emma, I just need to hold my team accountable. Or I don't have no one's accountable around here. I'm all left to me, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, it's easy to blame them, but have you actually, when they say, hold accountability, I always say, you can't actually physically hold someone accountable. So a little thing I do when I'm teaching is like, I can, if anyone's listening to this without, I'm holding my phone, I can hold my phone, I can hold my glass of water. You can't physically hold somebody accountable.
Yeah.
All you do is build a culture of accountability, and that is done predominantly through ownership. So, what do people own? What are they responsible for? So the tools we use for that accountability is scorecards. Your meeting rhythm comes into that. Your teamship rules, all about like how do we build that culture of accountability again? So if you want to step away from the business for a month or 3 months, that. So for me, everyone fills in their scorecard every week. Because if I wonder, if anyone, when you wake up at 3 a.m, go, has that been done, or where are we? Are we off track? Just before this meeting, I had a quick look on the sales scorecard. I know exactly where we are, what we've got left to do. It links into the cash flow forecast of what's been sold, what hasn't, all that kind of. That's why I don't stress, because it's all just on my screen in front of me. So putting that in, I know that people look, and just doing the scorecard every week, everyone's accountable for their numbers. Yeah. And then autonomy is, we all want people bringing their creative flair to work and their way of doing things and their personalities. But if you just have that, you have mayhem and chaos. So you have to have, for me, the rules in which to play. So a great way to think about it is a football game. Like, all the big footballers have got that creative flair. They've got I'm not a football fan, so I'm not going to use the right words. Like the kicks and the way they score the goals and the way they take the court, all that kind of stuff. But there's still a pitch that they have to play within. There's still rules. There's still the offside rule and all that kind of stuff. So they know the rules, but then they bring their creative flair. So that's what autonomy is. What's our systems and processes? What are we using the right tools? Are we giving people? Are we, and things can still slip through the net. We were out on a away day and I realized that 2 of the team are working on laptops. Didn't realize how old they were and they were just whirring away. I was like, are you working off the laptop? Why haven't, we need new laptops? And we went, but so again, everything's always, this is never done. That's the key thing, is even we've been doing it for years, this stuff is never done because new things crop up. New person joins the team. They have to learn the culture, learn the vision, learn the values. So you're always evolving. But are we giving people the right tools and equipment and rules and processes and systems to operate within so that they can bring their creative flair?
Fantastic. Building on from that, is sort of evolving within the business. Have you or your clients at It Takes Two already started experimenting with specific AI tools, either in sales, marketing, or operational workflows? And if so, what kind of impact have you observed?
Yeah, we're not an AI specialist by any means. We are on that AI journey as well. But there's so much for even things like, transcribe. If you're having your one-to-ones, have them transcribed so that you can then, use AI to bring out action plans or even just agreeing priorities or, sharing minutes and what have you. For ops people, for the 2ICs, writing personal development plans, analyzing data. We use marketing, sales, all analyzing that kind of stuff. So we use it a lot for writing operations manuals and things like that. So we use AI a lot in our business, and we definitely guide people when we're coaching. But if we're doing something on AI, I tend to bring a specialist in because I am also on that. And I love AI. I just sat with my is actually a very good friend and a coach also, but he specializes in AI. I said, right, he's my chat GPT,
Okay.
tidy me up a little bit. And he just made a few tweaks again. And I was like, already it's 10 times more efficient and better and more more like me and doing more stuff for me. So I'm fascinated by the AI journey, and a huge fan of it. And definitely, one thing I would like to say is what we do come across is, and I've come across it in my own events business as well, is people who still have this mindset that AI is cheating,
Right.
or it is, well, yeah, cheating, I guess would be or it's not allowed in some way. Like, embrace it. It's the way forward. It speeds up and it makes you better. So when everyone's worried about AI and taking the jobs, it's like, I like to see it as AI creates abundance. If you can do more using AI, you're not going to lose your job. You're going to generate more productivity, more outcome. That's only going to benefit the business. So I'm a big fan. So if anyone's there thinking, and I've just actually said, I've got a friend staying with me. I've just said to her this morning about AI. Never worry about AI taking your job. Worry about people who know how to use AI taking your job.
Right.
So on that journey too, I'm by no way an expert. I can't give you all the, here's what you should be doing, but get on that journey, start somewhere, embrace it, but think of it from an abundance perspective, not or taking a job, or this isn't fair, or this isn't right, or I don't know what to do. Just start. AI is so advanced now; it will guide you in that sense as well. It will it will kind of lead the way almost.
Yeah, absolutely. And
In
if it's
itself
used
is
in the
scary,
right
but
way, if it's used in the right way, it can complement rather than replace. And I think that's the key there, isn't it? That people need to just know when to use it, and to use it for the benefit of the business rather than, to its detriment, really.
yeah, and I think that if you approach it like that, I mean, yes, AI can do some detrimental things, but if you have that mindset of, I want to do a better job. And there's some, I've got to be careful sometimes with my creative element. It's like sometimes I'll abdicate to AI a little bit too soon. I've got to, like, no, Emma, still got to like think about what it is you want to do here. It makes you more productive. It creates more, it makes you better, makes the business better, which can only make the business more money, which is why that's what a business's job is to do, is to essentially grow, but generate a return for investors, or uh, as a business owner, you are the investor. So it's a tool that we can use, and I think we should absolutely use it to its best advantage.
Absolutely. And finally, Emma, you've successfully exited the day-to-day running of your own business thanks to second in command. What's one key takeaway or piece of advice that you'd give to a business owner considering investing in their second in command development, especially in leveraging modern tools that we've just been talking about and other areas as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's two sides to it. And what's in it for your second in command? Like, they deserve that support and development. So my key takeaway is, don't assume that your number two doesn't need that support, because a lot of people go, but they're so amazing, they save the day. Like, yes, they are amazing, but you don't see them, the confusion or the difficulties, or because they won't always come and tell you that, or they will, and then it's kind of, I don't need to hear this. So invest in them, get them there. If it be training or coaching, obviously with us, mentoring and what have you. What's in it for you as a business owner is that being able to step away from the day to day, and you get to choose then how you spend that time. So for some of our clients, it's so that they can move on to specialize, like really focusing on strategy and growth. For some people, it's launching a new venture and do something different. For some people, we had a client recently who just said, my husband would love it if I could just get home for tea and have tea with the family. That would be a big win. It's just, if I could just stick to so many hours.
Yeah.
Other people, I mean, my story is pretty well documented in my content and such. Like, I got to move overseas. I live in the Canary Islands.
Good.
I run the business. Julie runs the business in the UK. I do go back to the UK a fair amount, but I would say I work on my events business a day a week. The rest of the time, I'm doing what I love. I do a lot of coaching in the UK and in America, so it's kind of doing what I love to do. And so it is a new venture, going on a new business. But also, I mentioned earlier, I got a friend here. I think it was Monday morning. I was like, no, come on, let's go to the spa and have the morning there. I was like, what an absolute privilege to say, you know what? I was going to take the morning off. I've got a friend here. I'm going to go to the spa and just sit out in the beautiful sun and just enjoy the moment. And I remember thinking, wow, what a privilege, and how grateful I am that I get to do that. And it's because I've got an amazing team that I've invested in and developed and trained and what have you. I mean, Julie might say, "No, Emma, we're doing all this because you didn't, because we didn't know what to do. We had to find it out the hard way, but we look at it and found it out and worked on it," kind of thing. So for me, it's a mixture of launching a new business, doing the coaching, and having time. And I was a podcast I was listening to recently. I think it was Stephen Bartlett one, and the guy said, no time no time in a hammock is ever wasted. And it's true. So being able to, go at the spa on a Monday morning and sit there, I was still thinking about work. I was still making notes, but it's in those moments when you give your brain space to let
Yeah.
the idea in that you get them. And that is so yes, it's a privilege to go at the spa and sit on a Monday morning, but it's also a privilege to give my brain the space to come up with the ideas and such like, and then be able to go off and do them. So that is what, for me, the beauty of not only having a second in command, but investing in them so that they can do a great job for you.
Fantastic. I think you're quite right when you get to that stage where you can choose how you use your time, and also to understand and to recognize how important it is to have that self-care and that time for yourself, but it doesn't mean that your business is being negatively affected by it. To get to that position is so important, so amazing, and it's lovely to hear that you've got to that place. And thank you so much, Emma, for sharing such valuable insights on empowering dynamic duos and the role of technology and other things in modern business growth. For listeners that are eager to revolutionize their businesses and find that peace of mind, where can they learn more about It Takes Two and maybe connect with you?
So via the website is It Takes Two, it's a number 2. So it takes two.global. And then on Insta, It Takes Two, LinkedIn, Emma King. And I can give you, I'll give you the link to those conversation cards as well if you want them. I think you can get them on the website as well, but we'll, I'll need to double check that. I should have, but I'll get you the link anyway, and your listeners can download that.
Well, thanks ever so much, Emma, for your time and your expertise. It's been really invaluable listening to all of your insights, and I wish you every success for the future.
Thank you very much. And thank you again for having me.
You're very welcome. Goodbye.